Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We welcome everyone. We are going to continue with the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 15, the Yoga of the Supreme Person, text number 12. Yad aditya gatam tejo jagad bhasayate akhilam yad chandramasi yad chagnao tat tejo vidhi mamakam. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me. And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. Purport. The unintelligent cannot understand how things are taking place, but one can begin to be established in knowledge by understanding what the Lord explains here. Everyone sees the sun, moon, fire, and electricity. One should simply try to understand that the splendor of the sun, the splendor of the moon, and the splendor of electricity or fire are coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In such a conception of life, the beginning of Krishna consciousness lies a great deal of advancement for the conditioned soul in this material world. The living entities are essentially the parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, and He is giving herewith the hint how they can come back to Godhead, back to home. From this verse, we can understand that the sun is illuminating the whole universe. There are different universes and there are different suns, moons, and planets also, but in each universe, there is only one sun. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 21, the moon is one of the stars. Nakshatranam aham shashi. Sunlight is due to the spiritual effulgence in the spiritual sky of the Supreme Lord. With the rise of the sun, the activities of human beings are set up. They set fire to prepare their foodstuff. They set fire to start the factories, etc. So many things are done with the help of fire. Therefore, sunrise, fire, and moonlight are so pleasing to the living entities. Without their help, no living entity can live. So, if one can understand that the light and splendor of the sun, moon, and fire are emanating from the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, then one's Krishna consciousness will begin. By the moonshine, all the vegetables are nourished. The moonshine is so pleasing that people can easily understand that they are living by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Without His mercy, there cannot be sun. Without His mercy, there cannot be moon. And without His mercy, there cannot be fire. Without the help of sun, moon, and fire, no one can live. These are some thoughts to provoke Krishna consciousness in the conditioned soul. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shavakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We welcome all of you for this Bhagavad Gita class. We have reached almost towards the end of Bhagavad Gita, but Bhagavad Gita is a scripture which actually is also called Science of Self-Realization. And it kind of, the topics kind of are spread out throughout all the chapters. So when we are in the 15th chapter, we will also get knowledge that we've already learned in the other chapters as well. So it's perfectly fine to, like for instance, I think Sophia is joining us for the first time. And so it's very easy to understand. Bhagavad Gita is actually a scientific book of knowledge which deals with five subject matters: who we are, the spirit soul, who is God, what is material nature, the eternal time, and karma. And in the whole Bhagavad Gita, it just kind of gives us understanding that just like when I buy a new gadget or a new car, along with it comes an owner's manual. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita is considered to be an owner's manual. That is a manual for human beings that gives us knowledge how we should live this human form of life. Now, in this chapter, we are learning about the opulences of the Supreme Lord, that is Lord Sri Krishna. So, here we see in this verse where Krishna is telling Arjuna, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is telling Arjuna in the battlefield that the splendor of the sun and the moon, everything comes from me. And we can see if there was no fire, no electricity, no sun, no moon, no water, no air, we would not be able to survive, right? See, just like a child who sees the plane flying, just because the child cannot see the pilot, the child thinks, oh, the plane is flying on its own. No. So, similarly, those who are intelligent, they know that behind this whole creation, which is there, right? The sun and the moon and the planets and the universes, there is an intelligent creator. There is somebody who is kind of taking care of this whole creation. So, intelligence can be sharpened with the help of knowledge. With the help of knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita, we will be able to understand who we really are. Right, in the chapter number 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, which is actually the summary of the whole Bhagavad Gita, is called Contents of the Gita Summarized. Krishna explains to Arjuna, Dehi no asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jal tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatrana muhyati. That a sober person understands that as the spirit soul, who we really are, continuously passes from boyhood to youth to old age, and at death, the soul passes on to another body. So, this is how we can understand that we have actually two bodies: this gross body that we can see, that has all the senses, etc., hands, legs, everything. And then there is a subtle body which includes mind, intelligence, and false ego. The subtle body is situated in the heart according to the Bhagavad Gita, and along with the subtle body is the spirit soul, who we really are. Mamai Vamsha Jivaloke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Krishna tells Arjuna that we living entities, we are spirit souls and we are parts of the Supreme Lord. So the basic foundation of Bhagavad Gita is to understand I am not this body, but I am a spirit soul. When we build our spiritual knowledge on this foundation, then we can go further and we can understand. Now, Bhagavad Gita, we know, has 18 chapters. There are 700 verses which are spoken by the Supreme Lord Himself, and He is relating this to Arjuna, his friend, so that people like us can have an owner's manual to know how to lead this human form of life. So, this today's verse is talking about, Krishna is explaining that I am the sun, I am the moon, from me comes the fire, electricity, everything. But when we see all these things, when we see the sun in the morning or we see the moon at night, does it remind us of the Lord? Probably not, because most people do not have this knowledge that all this is the creation of the Lord. So, for us to be conscious whenever we are looking at nature, imagine the whole big banyan tree actually was first in a small seed, right? It was, how can such a huge banyan tree be inside a tiny seed which is sown in the ground, watered, sunlight, and then gradually it grows into that huge, gigantic banyan tree? Imagine this beautiful rose, the flower, is actually inside the seed. It starts growing. Who does that? We cannot do that using chemicals or whatever. This is all the creation of the Supreme Lord. So in this chapter, which is called the opulence of the Supreme Lord, he is explaining that how he creates and how he maintains everything. And also we have seen how a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. How is that possible? Can we human beings create something like that? No, we cannot create it. So, this knowledge of this chapter explains to us how great the Supreme Lord is, how great He is. You know, generally, people, what they say, they look at God and say, look how big my problem is. No, it should be the other way around. We look at the problem and say, look how great my Supreme Lord is, right? So just with the knowledge of the greatness of Krishna, we can automatically appreciate, right? What is he doing for us? He has given us everything. And if we appreciate, in fact, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that this is actually a hint for us, right? A hint for us to understand that we are in the material body, even though we are spiritual souls. We are actually encaged in this body, based, just as this is, as you sow, so shall you reap. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So based on our past actions, now we have this particular type of body. So a wise person or an intelligent person will think, actually I am okay with this body, but I would rather have a body which does not become old, or which does not become diseased, or a body that does not die. Is that possible? Yes, that's possible. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that if we understand this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita and put it into practice, appreciate the greatness of the Supreme Lord, and then the whole process of Bhagavad Gita, starting from chapter 1 through the 18th chapter, that we will see the way back to the spiritual world. We cannot be we cannot be immortal in this material body. We have to have a spiritual body for that. And the whole Bhagavad Gita is teaching us. You know, above the Bhagavad Gita, there is a scripture. So we know the Vedas, right? The huge Vedic literature, which if we start reading, we cannot finish it even one lifetime. So the summary of the Vedas is given in a scripture called Srimad Bhagavatam. And the summary of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is in 12 cantos, is the summary of that is the Bhagavad Gita. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a vast description of the creation, how there are so many universes, there are so many planets and suns and moons, but in each universe, there is only one sun and one moon. And the light of the sun, how does the sun get the light? How is it so powerful? Krishna tells Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita that the spiritual effulgence of the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world is what gives the light to the sun. That is the spiritual effulgence. And then the sun is able to give us light and heat, which is very necessary for us, right? We need that. And similarly, Krishna is telling Arjuna, I am the fire of digestion, the fire that is within us, which helps us to digest our food, is coming by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And what about the moonlight? It's the moon. The Vedas tell us that the moonlight gives juice to the vegetables. It nourishes, it gives the taste to the vegetables. So imagine if there was no moonlight, there would be no taste in the vegetables. And would we really enjoy eating that? Not really. So, how can we do without these basic necessities that we need on a day to day life? By understanding, appreciating, and having an attitude of gratitude, right? So if we, like in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mataha iti matva bhajante mam. So he says that everything emanates from me. Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. All planets and everybody, all living entities come from the Supreme Lord. Right? If we can understand that, that will help us to advance in spirituality. Appreciation. Appreciation is very, very important. In fact, in our day to day life, also, we expect appreciation from our spouse, from our children, from grandchildren or parents, grandparents. We are all looking for appreciation because that makes us feel good. I remember, but that appreciation has to be genuine. That is the most important point. You know how, pardon me, the wives, but wives generally nag the husband whenever they dress up. They want to know how they look. So they go to the husband and say, "Hey, can you tell me how I look?" Now, sometimes husbands have to lie also. Oh, you look very beautiful, right? Maybe not. But that appreciation is what makes the wife happy. So one time my wife asked, her husband, "How much do you love me?" He said, "A lot." "Oh, really? Can you explain to me in words, how much you really love me? Because I need that, that boost." So he said, "Well, you are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K." She said, "What is that? That is not, uh, glorifying me or appreciating me." He said, "No, no, no, wait. A means you're adorable. B, you are beautiful. C, you're charming. D, you are so devoted to me. E, you're elegant. F, you're friendly. G, you're gorgeous. H, you're humble." And then he stopped. So the wife said, "What about I, J, K? You just ended till H, but you said I, J till K." Oh, he said, "I, J, K, I was just kidding." That means that wasn't genuine. He was just praising her because she wanted to hear. But here, the Supreme Lord wants genuine appreciation. Not that he wants, but it'll please him if we appreciate everything that he has given us in life, right? Most of us, we are very fortunate. First of all, we are fortunate we have a human form of life, because only in this human form of life we can use our philosophical intelligence to understand, who am I, where have I come from, what am I supposed to do here, why am I suffering, and where do I go from here. If we don't have answers to these questions, then we may, waste our very rare human birth, and then maybe then get into 8.1 of the 8.4 million species of life, and then just keep going in the cycle of birth, disease, old age, death, birth, disease, old age, death. No. Now that we have this human form, we should use our philosophical intelligence and take the knowledge from Bhagavad Gita and understand that we should not live our life mechanically. Wake up in the morning, oh, it's time to shower, eat breakfast, go to work, after coming back from work, try to see how can I enjoy my life, maybe watch TV or go out for dinner, whatever, and then it's time to sleep, and then again get up in the morning and do the same routine. That's mechanical. This human form of life is not to be lived mechanically. There was, three friends who were actually working in the same, they in the same company, and they were given an assignment. So person number one had to do one thing, number two and number three, all three had different jobs to do, but they were all interrelated. The jobs were interrelated. So they would go every day and perform their duty, whatever work they had to do, and go home. One day, a man was walking by, and he noticed that here is one man who is digging, digging, digging. And then there is another man who is again filling it back with dirt. So, whatever dirt the first one is removing, the other person is filling it back. So, he got confused. He said, "This is waste of time." So, he inquired from them, "What are you doing?" digging, filling, that makes no sense. So he said, well, actually, we are three of us. I do the first job, then number two does the second job, and this third person does the third job. So I dig, the second person plants, puts a plant, in the mud, and then the third person fills it. It so happens that the person number two is out sick, couldn't come. So we are doing our job. I'm digging and he's filling. I'm digging and he's. Does that make sense? No. That's mechanical. That they too need to understand that it's important that planting is also done. Dig, plant, fill. Similarly, for our human form of life, we need to understand we cannot just eat, sleep, have babies and defend ourselves. No, even the animals do that. It may be just that we eat our food on the dining table, the animals eat on the road, we sleep on our posturepedic bed, they sleep on the floor, we have babies, they have babies, we defend ourselves with alarm system, Ackerman, ADT, whatever, and animals also try to defend themselves. So if we don't do anything beyond this, then what is the difference between us and the animals? Not much difference. So Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to live like a human being. We are actually not human beings. We are spiritual beings right now having a human experience. But people think we are human beings and we are trying to have a spiritual experience. No, it's the other way around. Let's go to the next verse, number 13. So Krishna says, I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. Again, he's saying, I am the one who's doing that. So that makes us appreciate him more, right? He is the cause of all causes. In the Brahma Samhita, there is Lord Brahma has given a beautiful verse which says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. That Krishna, you are the supreme personality of Godhead and you are the cause of all causes. And here we can see the reference in Bhagavad Gita, this verse number 13, where Krishna is saying that I enter into each planet, I enter into each atom. He even enters into each living entity. That means he has entered us also. That is why, we know that there is something inside us that generally guides us, right? That is generally telling us this is right, this is wrong, or whatever. So that guidance comes from the super soul, which is situated in the heart, along with us, the real us, which is the spirit soul. So that is what here we can understand, that just like he has entered into each atom and planet, universe, everywhere, he has also entered into each living entity. And what is the purpose of him being inside us? To guide us. Not only to guide us, but also to witness our activities, right? To see what we are doing, to in chapter this same chapter 15, when we go to the next verse, after two verses, Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto matah smriti jnanam apohanam cha. Vedescha sarver aham eva vedyo vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. This is a Sanskrit verse from Bhagavad Gita. And what does that mean? Krishna says, I am situated in everyone's heart. And from me, when he's within, he says, from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So it is up to us. What do we choose? Do we want to remember the Lord? He will help us. Do we want to forget him? He will help us. And if we have the deep desire to have knowledge about him, then he will guide us to the right place, to the right teacher, where we can learn what exactly is the Bhagavad Gita talking about. See, when Krishna says, I enter into each planet, they are in orbit because of him. He is controlling all the planets, right? They're all moving at the right speed and the right circular motion. Everything is going on as it should because of Krishna. Imagine if one of them misses, the speed, either slows it down or increases the speed, there's going to be a crash. Have you ever heard planets crashing and earthly planet crashing and all these planets crashing? No, because he is the one who is controlling everything. So that shows us that he within our heart is there to guide us, and how merciful he is. He's coming with us everywhere. According to Bhagavad Gita, at the time of death, the subtle body, which is mind, intelligence, and false ego, along with the spirit soul, who we really are, and the super soul, that is the Supreme Lord, they go into another body. They take on another body until and unless we liberate ourselves from this body, we will have to come back into another body, that is called reincarnation. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that we've already learned in chapter 2 about the difference between body and soul. It's like I'm wearing this garment today, which is covering my body. And once this garment becomes old and torn, I'm just going to throw and I'm going to put on a new garment. That is what the soul does. Excuse me. When this body becomes old and useless, the soul leaves the body and takes on a new body. This is what we learned in chapter 2. So once the soul leaves the body, what is the value of the body? I'm not sure if any of you have heard about Harry Monson. Harry Monson was actually originally from Norway, and he had become the professor of anatomy in the Illinois College of Medicine. And he did research. And from his research, he concluded that when the soul leaves the dead body, the value of the dead body, based on whatever chemicals are left in it, is only $5.60. That is the value of the body if there is no soul. But once the soul is inside the body, that body becomes so valuable. We cannot even put a price on it, right? So once the soul leaves the body is useless. And we will see that it will as long as the soul is in the body, when we go in the swimming pool we can float. But the moment the soul leaves the body, it sinks. Of course, after it decomposes, the body can start floating. But important to understand the difference between body and the soul. People are generally busy in taking care of just the body, feeding the body, worshiping the body, dressing the body. Everything is about the body. What about the soul, the real us, which is within the heart, which is eternal? Krishna says that for the soul, there's neither birth nor death. It has not come into being and it will not come into being because it is eternal. Right? It is eternal. Mamai Vamsha Jivaloke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Sanatana means eternal. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains to this verse that, supposing we take a handful of dust in our hand. So just like we can hold the dust, similarly, Krishna is holding the whole creation in his hand. He's holding it. It's like a handful of dust in his hand. He's the controller, right? But what happens when we just throw that dust away? The dust just spreads everywhere and it falls down, it's gone. So similarly, Krishna is controlling everything. So he's holding it in his fist. And because he's holding it, they are not crashing anywhere else. So the sun shines and the planets move because of the Supreme Lord. So it is important to appreciate all that the Lord has given us, this beautiful creation. Look at the nature, the beautiful gardens and the trees and the birds and the butterflies, everything so beautiful, right? That all is coming from Krishna. He says, the moonlight that I provide, it gives juice to the vegetables. And we are enjoying that, those vegetables, right? We need to remember that we are surviving because of the Supreme Lord. And how can we show our gratitude? It's important to have, it's the grateful people who are happy, right? When we are grateful, then we feel happy and satisfied. And how can we show our gratitude to the Lord? By following his instructions. He's given us an owner's manual. This Bhagavad Gita is our owner's manual, which tells us how to sit, how to stand, how to walk, how to talk, how to perform activities. In fact, there are two chapters in the Bhagavad Gita on Karma Yoga, chapter 3 and chapter 5, in which Krishna explains how we should perform our activities. We should do activities that are according to the laws of the Lord, without desiring to enjoy the fruits of our actions. Then there are no more reactions. Then we lead a very pure life. Let's see, today we take the last verse for today, which is number 14. Krishna tells Arjuna, I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of food stuff. He is the fire of digestion. When our tummy gets upset, we get very upset, because most people are very fond of eating, and if they are restricted in their eating, that is very upsetting. So we need to understand that the fire in the body, in the stomach, is the Supreme Lord who's helping us to digest our food. So he's also saying the incoming breath and the outgoing breath, that is also happening because of Krishna. So both are necessary. The air that we are breathing and the fire of digestion, both are necessary to digest what we eat. So that is why in Ayurveda, it is explained that if we really want a good digestive system, then we should not drink water 1 hour before eating and 1 hour after our meals. Why? Because if we drink water, we may extinguish that fire of digestion in our body, and then different diseases come about. So here, this Bhagavad Gita is very scientific. It gives us instructions on how this body functions and how really to use it to our maximum benefit, right? So indication is there that we should make sure that we eat the right food. Like in chapter 3, we learned in Karma Yoga, chapter 3, Krishna says, Yagna Shishtashina Shanto Muchyante Sarva Kilvishe Bhunjate Tveyagham Papam Ye Pachyanti Atmakarma. He says, when people cook food for their personal sense enjoyment, they are eating only sin. And when we commit sinful activities, there are sinful reactions. But he says the devotees of the Lord, whatever vegetarian food they cook, they offer it to the Lord. And then what happens? It becomes a karma free diet, karma free food, and then there are no more reactions. So, here, when the indigestion takes place, then we have to look for treatment. So, it's important to remember that everything is coming from the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. And there are four kinds of food that is mentioned in this verse, and that's the four kinds of food that we intake, and that is food that can be drunk, chewed, licked, and sucked. These are the four kinds. And so with the help of this knowledge, Krishna is helping us to stay healthy, to have a healthy body. Because if there is no fire in the stomach, the food will not get digested, and then we will have no energy. So what is the summary of all this? Summary is that we are able to enjoy this body because of the Supreme Lord. We all want to enjoy, we all want to be happy. It's just that we don't know where to find the true happiness, which is permanent, right? There is a very nice story which is called the 99 Club, right? 99 Club is there was this king who was, passing through his kingdom to see if everybody is happy. And then he saw a group of people sitting in one corner, and they were like, villagers kind of, and not very much interested in, uh, watching movies, going here, there, whatever. So this king was walking with his minister, and the king said, "Oh, I am so happy. Look at that bunch of people. They look so happy. That means I am a good king." The minister tapped on his shoulder and said, "Wait, that group is not a member of the 99 Club. Once they become a member of 99 Club, the smile from their face will be gone." He said, "What do you mean?" So he said, "Wait." So he took a bag of 99 golden coins, and at night, one of the villagers, outside the tiny little home of one of the villagers, he kept that bag of gold coins, and he went and he hid behind with the king to see what happens. When the villager heard the noise, he came out and he saw, "Oh, there's a gift for me." So he took it inside and he opened, and he was like, "Ah, there are gold coins in here. Wow." And he called his wife and they started counting: 1, 2, 3, 4, 90, 95, 98, 99. Oh, what? I think one coin is missing. It should be 100. So they kept on counting again and again, and they came to that same number, 99. So the husband thought, "Well, wouldn't it be nice if I can make it 100? Let me work hard, and then I can, with that money, I'll buy one gold coin and then put it in this bag, and then it's going to be 100." And what happened? He went into that rat race of working, two jobs, three jobs, just to make more money, more money, more money. He didn't have that before the bag of golden coins came to him, right? He joined the 99 Club. So most of us are members of that 99 Club, running and running and running to get more and more and more. Can we eat more just because we earn more? Can we sleep more? Or do we need extra space now that if I need a bed which is about 6 feet, uh, long, it's good. Will I need 20 feet? No, I'll just still need the same place to sleep. My stomach is that tiny, only that much food I can eat. So earning more is not going to give us happiness. So we will learn, when we finish the Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter, we'll go back to 1 and we will start all over again, starting with the basic foundational knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. So from these verses, we can understand that appreciating all that the Lord has given us, everything that Krishna has given us, and we can show our gratitude by following, by hearing his instructions, and by somehow or the other applying it in our day-to-day life. So this way we can, make the best use of this human form of life, because animals cannot understand self realization. They cannot understand spirituality at all because they don't have that level of consciousness. They don't have that philosophical intelligence in them. So I am very, very grateful that all of you have joined today. And we have this class every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we go through all the verses and, try and understand what is the purpose of human form of life. So I'm going to end right now. And if anyone has any questions, you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask